If there is a message for us today, I believe it is to learn to live from our heart in love. These short lessons, hopefully, will help to inspire you to live with purpose, love passionately, and inspire others. We are the change agent our world needs. I'm Helen Toews. Step into the river today with me to explore the mysteries of God. They are not hidden from us, but for us to discover.
I missed it. That's okay. I'll get caught up.
That's good. These first three meetings are foundational and basic really to where we're going. So, and I realize that there's a lot of material. If you haven't studied any of this in Living Letters or the God Code, a lot of it might be new to you. Some of it might be totally repetitive. But anyway, what's happening? What I'm hoping is happening in us and for us is really laying a foundation, so that when we talk about things that we have spent time in this last 3 weeks, studying, and hopefully if you are interested, you'll go and do further study for yourself. And that's where I'm happy to direct you. It's not like the end of a book where you've got references and that. If I can help with that, I'm happy to do that. If you aren't interested in going further, but just enjoying the information, that's absolutely fine. And just enjoy that. It will actually help as we move along in this series. So welcome to the journey. I am going to I'll do my share screen. And as I said before, the reason that I do this in PowerPoint is to keep me on task. And because otherwise I go chasing rabbits, and then I'm not honoring your time very well at all. Also, what was I going to say? Yes, an easy way to take notes is just to take a picture. So if you know how to do that, please do it. This is open for whatever. And if that helps, it's easier than sitting and writing. So is everybody okay with that? Okay. All right.
And tell us how to take the picture again.
Okay. Well, if you're on a Mac, you go Command-Shift-3. And if you're not on a Mac, I can't help you.
I think Simon helped me the first meeting, Helen. He said if you have the snip, it's called take a snip. It's snip and sketch.
Yeah, me too. Just
stretch.
Okay, good.
I just wanted them to
Okay.
one of those.
All right. Well, that's pretty cool. If there are spelling mistakes, then it's totally my fault. That's all I can say. So here we go. All right. Share.
It's very small.
Is it small?
It's big. It's big now.
Is everything okay? Yeah. Okay.
That's good.
All right. So here we go. The God Code Part 2 is all about the living letter. And I am going to ask everyone to mute themselves, or maybe I can just do that. No, I actually can't. I'm off the page. So if you would, because then there's not background music. There's no background to the recording. Okay, here we go. So this study is not a deep dive, but a taste, an appetizer to begin the journey into the Hebrew living letters, and in particular, Yod He Vav He, which we studied last week. The Hebrew letters actually play a central role in unlocking the unlimited realms and dimensions of the mysteries and secrets of Yod He Vav He. There seems to be an increased desire in many of us to learn and understand more of what Yahweh has placed in us. Whoops. We saw last week that each atomic number of the elements has a corresponding Hebrew letter, which is also called gematria, or the number value of each element. We went through that and we saw that hydrogen has the number 1, which is the yod, nitrogen, number 5, He, oxygen, number 6, Vav, carbon, number 3, Gimel. Yod He Vav Gimel is the code in our human bodies that we have that are both visible and invisible elements. We have an invisible aspect, just as Yod He Vav, or Yod He Vav, as well as the fact that we are carbon beings, Gimel, that is seen on Earth. And I'm not going to do anything but just refer to this because it is in that, it's fleshed out a lot better in the part 1. When we correlated, this is what we saw last week, we correlated the Hebrew alphabet. The code of all life becomes a literal and translatable message in our cells. Yod He, sometimes spelled Yah, is the abbreviated and accepted form of Yod He Vav He. Yah is the ancient name of God, and Vav Gimel, coded within our bodily DNA, illustrates the nature of the relationship. I'm getting feedback here, sorry. Nature of the relationship of God in us. We are his creation on this earth, and we are made in the image of God. If you didn't watch that and are interested, then I really would like to refer you to it. Yod He Vav Gimel, the code that is in each cell of our being, has the literal translation, God eternal within the body. The Hebrew letters are living emanations. An emanation defined is an abstract but perceptible thing that issues originates from a source. It can be very mystical. The Hebrew letters are living emanations from within Yahweh, our source. By his breath, by the vibration, the frequency of the sounds, the living letters came forth. These are also actually an energy force that emanates from within us, but like many things that are in our bodies that are wonderfully and fearfully made, they are dormant until we, by our free will, release the frequency. These letters are alive in us. They are a creative power that gives us unlimited access to Yeshua. He is the way, the truth, the life. In him, all secrets and mysteries are encoded. In Acts 17:28, we have a familiar passage. In him we live and move and have our being. Through them, the living letters, the Talmud says, everything was brought into existence. Psalm 33:6 says, by the word of the Lord were the heavens made. And we're going to go and look at a bit of history. In Ezekiel, it says, upon the likeness of the throne was one in appearance like a man. Ezekiel 1:10, as for the likeness of their faces, they four had the face of a man, face of a lion, and on the right side, and they had 4 faces of an ox on the left side, and 4 faces also had the face. I just butchered that. I'm going to start again. As for the light, I'm sorry, I'm trying to move my screen thing because it's going across the writing at the same time. Okay. Ezekiel 1:10. As for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man and the face of a lion, and on the right side they 4 had the face of an ox. On the left side they 4 also had the face of an eagle. So this vision seen by Ezekiel, when we put them alongside New Testament Gospels, it provides an interesting information as to how the 4 Gospels work together as one. The Old Testament is the new concealed. The New Testament, the Old revealed. It's an old saying, but it's worth repeating. It often helps us to see both sides together as they fit in history, which is his story. In the New Testament, these four faces represent four facets or character traits of the person of Christ. In the Gospel of Matthew, it illustrates him as a lion. He's the Lion of Judah, the Messiah of Israel, and the King of Kings. In Mark, Christ is figuratively portrayed as the face of an ox, a burden bearer, a servant. In Luke, who was the physician, Christ is portrayed as a son, the second Adam. And in John, the apostle of love, Jesus figuratively portrayed with the face of an eagle as the Son of God. Ezekiel would have also known that these four faces were also ensigns of the tribes of Israel. So here we have a diagram of how the tribes of Israel were organized and placed in when they camped all together. And I'm not going to go through each one. If you study it, it's a fun study. But in the north, we see the tribe of Dan, and the emblem is an eagle. To the east is the tribe of Judah, the emblem being a lion. In the south, Reuben as man, and in the west, an ox, the tribe of Ephraim, and that was in the west. When you looked at those tribes when they were organized from above, it was very interesting pattern. And here you can see this, it was a cross. In the middle of it was the tabernacle and the holy place. Very symbolic. The eagle represent the ensign of Dan, and it was to the north. The lion, the ensign of the tribe of Judah, camped on the east. The man was the ensign of the tribe of Reuben, and was to the south. Ox was the ensign of Ephraim on the west. In Jewish tradition, it was believed that the divine presence would shine through the fingers of the priests as they blessed the people. The Talmud describes God as peering through the lattice formed by the hands of the priests, referencing the verse in the Song of Psalms. Here it says, "My beloved is like a gazelle or a young hart. Behold, he stands behind our wall. He looks through the windows, peering through the lattices." The priest at that time would make a sign with his hands, the four fingers on each hand split into two sets of two fingers each, thus forming the letter Shin in the Hebrew alphabet. This signified Shaddai or Yeshua. The priest raised his hands with the palms facing downward and the thumbs of his outspread hands touching. He was looking through the lattices. Oh dear. The priest performed a ceremony that is sometimes called Nesiat Kappeum, the lifting of the hands. And you can see that it's quite a ceremony in this picture. When they did that, they stood. Okay. And they would pray over the people, or they would breathe over the people, and what they spoke out was the Aaronic blessing. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. So where did the living letters come from? This is, I'm going to try really hard to make this clear, because it was one of those fun gems when you study. I'm not going to read the Hebrew, where I think the first is Bereshit bara Elohim et, and I'm not sure of the pronunciation, but the in Genesis 1:1, In English, it is, in the beginning created Elohim, the heavens and the earth. Here you'll see the symbol for the word et, which is also Aleph Tav. In the middle of the sentence, these two letters, Aleph Tav, are there, and in the Talmud in Hebrew, but they don't appear in English Bibles. These two letters do not actually form a word, rather they express an understanding. The Aleph Tav character symbol, as you see on the screen, has been hidden in plain sight, but not translated by the Greek Septuagint. Hebrew scholars agreed that the first letter of the alphabet, the Aleph letter, meant strength, with its letter symbol an ox head. The last letter of the alphabet is the letter Tav, which had its letter picture an X, or a symbol or sign of covenant. Consequently, the Aleph Tav symbol literally means sign of the covenant.
Thanks of the covenant.
In the beginning, so it could read like this: in the beginning created Elohim, who is the strength of the covenant, the heavens and the earth. In Revelation 22:13, the last chapter of our Bible, Jesus revealed who the Aleph Tav is. I am the beginning and the end, the Aleph Tav, the strength of the covenant. There is an energy force within us more powerful and intensive, a creative ability that is unlimited in our very being. There is no technology greater than Christ in us, the hope of glory. In the beginning, God. So now we're going to go in and take a close-up look at the living letters, Yod, He, Vav, He. In the beginning, God. It says he breathed himself into creation, and the Yod initially looked like this, just a dot. Actually, it looks a little too big. Hebrew mysticism says the Yod or the Yod is the atom of the consonants and the form by which all other letters begin and end. Yod represents a divine point of energy, and it's believed that creation began with the Yod itself, a dot or divine point of energy, and then it moved downwards from the divine into creation. Since Yeshua, Jesus, upholds all things by the word of his power, including our earth, Yod is part of every Hebrew letter. When you put your pen to the paper, the Yod is there. Yod is considered to be the spark of the Spirit in everything, or the starting point of the presence of God in all things. Yod means closed hand. It represents the face of the lion. It represents the spirit of the Lord and the spirit of the fear of the Lord. Yod is the number 10. We saw that last week. In full capacity of government. As a Hebrew, you needed 10 to have a quorum, as it will. For instance, you can't have a meeting or it was our experience when we were actually planning a Hebrew funeral for a friend that asked us to do this when he died. We needed to find 10 men to be the mina to so that he could be properly buried. It's quite interesting, even to this day. The Yod appears to be suspended. It's very small. And the Hebrew scholars say that when you put pen to paper, the dot becomes the creative force in every letter. Nothing begins without its power. It's a creative light. It indicates God's omnipresence. It's the 0 point, the spark of the spirit in everything where spirit and matter connect. starting point of his presence in all things. And in Aaron Smith's book that some of you may have read, The Friends of Eber, says that Yod represents the eyes in Ezekiel's wheels. Yod is masculine in sacred name, Yahweh, and it is the representative of the Father. Yod is a seminal letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it cannot be divided into component parts like the other letters. It signifies the oneness of Elohim. Yod or Yod was anciently portrayed as a symbol of a hand, and this is the entire hand or the closed hand. The closed hand denotes power and figuratively ownership. The modern writing of the Yod has an upward and lower point indicating the connection of heaven and earth, and it symbolizes the closed hand. If you hold your hand up, you'll see you'll see the Yod and the power of the Yod. I find it just absolutely amazing. We've just gone through one living letter, just one, and there's actually so much more that could be said about it. And if you do your research, I think you'll just find how interesting it is, how it expands, and how the living letters actually do come alive because they have character traits. They have a meaning. When you look at our alphabet, what's an A? It says A or it says ah. And that's about as far as I can go to explain, except the shape of it, right? And it doesn't have the depth of meaning as these living beings do. So let's look at the Hey. It means behold. It is the face of the ox, and it represents the spirit of might. It's a number 5 in Gematria. It's made with 2 vavs and a yod. It's important to note that the yod is not attached. Just like the veil is torn, we can enter into him. In Hey, it is a breath of God, and when we say it, we breathe it out. I love actually saying the Hey. It just feels like the breath of God. Hey represents the divine breath, revelation, and light, due to the word light being mentioned 5 times on the first day of creation in Genesis 1:3-4. Hebrew mystics point to the breath of his mouth and refers to the letter Hey, the breath of the spirit of the living God outward. By the word of the Lord were the heavens made and all the hosts, by the breath of his mouth. Hey symbolizes to look or behold, to show or reveal. And here we look at the vav, the nail. It almost looks like a nail, that yod that goes extended down. Is the face of an eagle, and it represents the spirit of wisdom and the spirit of knowledge. The vav is number 6, first found in Genesis 1:1. The power of God to connecting us within himself, binding and uniting heaven on earth, God and man, joining matter and spirit. The elongated yod also refers to Messiah. Vav is also masculine in gender. Vav signifies a nail, a peg, or a hook. It also conveys the meaning of being nailed or bound together. Vav is the power to connect heaven and earth. The first vav in God's word is in Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the vav, the earth, and it sets the precedent. It is the face of an eagle, and throughout the Bible, the eagle signifies the soaring, transcendent, powerful divine life of God. We need to be like an eagle, not allowing anything to hold us, to suppress us, or depress us. An eagle can see the smallest prey from miles away. We can overcome both persecution and praise. We need to be able to fly high above the storms of life. To know him, we must learn to step into him, into his being, and see through the eyes. Vav signifies a nail, a peg, or a hook. It also conveys the meaning of being nailed or bound together. Now we see Hey again with the definition, behold. In the face of a man, it represents the spirit of counsel and the spirit of understanding. Number 5, it's the number 5. It is the divine breath. It's the face of a man, the primary face of each of the 4 living creatures that is of a man. It typifies the Lord's human life as seen throughout the Gospels. He performed miracles, yet, on the other hand, he was so ordinary that people wondered, is not this the carpenter's son? What does that mean to us? Well, at work, at school, or in our neighborhood, we too have the face of man. Our conduct, speech, and expression should all be authentically human, not through our natural humanity, but the humanity of Lord Jesus. Okay. According to Hebrew understanding, when using Hey in a word, when it's inserted in the middle, breathed into a name or situation, it is masculine and represents the Father. The best example is that of Abraham. Abraham was an old man. Could everyone check to see that they're muted? I'm getting some kind of feedback here.
I think it's the person that's on the telephone who's dialed in. I'm not sure if they have the capacity of.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, if you're on the phone, if you hit the pound sign and 6, you should be able to mute yourself. And when you want to turn your microphone back on, you just hit the number sign and 6.
And Helen, you can mute everybody from your end.
I know, but I don't know. I can't see it here now that I'm on a screen share.
I understand.
Okay. We'll get good at this. Not going to worry. All right. Okay. So we see that it was prophesied over Abraham that he was going to be the father of many nations, and God changed his name from Abram to Abraham. He breathed into Abraham the Hey. He breathed into him power. He changed his, by the living letter, changed not only his name, but the ability to be the father of many nations. When Hey is used at the end as a suffix, it represents the feminine. And the feminine is represented as the spark of all creation, the Shekinah, the fruitfulness. And we see that in Sarai. She was Abraham's wife, and she was told that she was going to have a child. And remember, Sarah laughed. She laughed because her husband was past the time of that being possible, and certainly her body wasn't functioning to bear children. But when God breathed on her, and the Hey was inserted right into her name, she was fruitful, and she was the spark of creation. Sarah's name now means princess. As we saw, the letter of Yahweh's name in Hebrew have the following meanings. Yod is the closed hand. Hey means behold. Vav, the nail. Yod Hey is written at the top. And when we read in English from left to right, it has a message. It says, behold the nail. Behold the hand. The sentence would say, behold the nailed hand. The message of the cross is also encoded in every cell of our body. Here's an interesting fun fact. There was a Dr. Hans Jenny, a pioneer in the field of cymatics. In this study of the relationship between energy and matter, he conducted a series of experiments utilizing a tonoscope, which is a device that transforms sounds into their visual representations on a screen. In his research, Jenny noticed that when the vowels of the ancient language of Hebrew were spoken, the vowels took the shape of the written symbols. Experimentation with modern language like English, it only produced chaos. A Jewish philosopher named Moshe ben Ezra spoke of the Hebrew letters. He said, "The letters and words are like bodies. Their meanings are like the soul. A letter not opened, it is like a dream not interpreted." I don't think anyone said that about English. In Hebrew thought and study, different levels of engaging the Hebrew letters are called Pardes. Pardes means an orchard, paradise, or a garden. So we have these four thoughts and four different levels for when we are engaging these Hebrew letters. The first is the pishat, and that just means what's on the surface, the plain contextual meaning of the word. The second is a remez, which is hidden and symbolic below the surface, an allegorical meaning. The third is darash, to inquire or seek, a metaphorical meaning. And the sod is the secret, the mystery that comes through inspiration of revelation and a hidden meaning. That's a lot to put into the one level, but imagine knowing the living letters so well that you can look at not just what's on the surface, but look what's hidden and symbolic below it, that you can actually inquire or seek for the metaphorical meaning and to embrace the secret and the mystery that comes through that inspiration or the hidden meaning. So we're going to look at how to engage with the Hebrew letters. I'm going to recommend two things. One, create or purchase flashcards. I've had these for years now. I'm going to just show you. I'm messing it up. I'll show you when I come back off of the PowerPoint. But these, what I have in my hand are cards like the ones you see on the screen. And these are done by an artist who did paintings on the front of the card to give the meaning in the different levels that we just talked about. On the surface of these, she has the detail of what's on the surface and what are some hidden and symbolic allegorical meanings, all in the pictures. They're absolutely beautiful. And I'll give you her contacts if you're interested. But they are fun. You can also find them, just put them into Amazon and you can find these for purchase. But I thought as I was preparing for this that it would be kind of fun to make my own flashcards, and because I saw these illustrations they look very simple, and if I made my own, then I would really be engaged in drawing out each of the letters. And I think that there's something happens that when you draw it out yourself and then you write out the numbers and the meanings and the things that you learn, and you can add to them and it becomes yours. It becomes, I'm going to say it becomes their story to you or their message to you as we learn more, because what you're learning tonight is just an appetizer. It's just a beginning. And what we're able to do is actually engage further because of the depth and the mystery of these letters. It is a fascinating study. The other thing I would suggest that you do if you're going to go on this journey is to have a journal just specific to the living letters. Like I know many of us journal and fill them up a lot, but to have one just specific to the living letters will be able to, just like the cards would, have you go back and to revisit and to review as you go along. So if you're going to engage with the living letters, I'm going to suggest the first thing that you do is you simply breathe and still your mind. Next week, we're going to go into depth on some of breathing and what it holds for us in the way of allowing our heart brain to actually create things. And we are actually going to go into some very fun science and spirituality things and start activating those in our lives if we haven't already done that. But in essence, as we learn to engage, whether in prayer, in meditation, or heart-brain coherence, to engage with these letters, simply sit quietly in a space that you can be comfortable and be able to be in your own thoughts, and for your own thoughts and for the living letters. It's good to be in a place that you can speak out loud without being self-conscious. Second thing, direct your thinking. Be purposeful. I use flashcards or simply see the letter in my mind. I'm not really good at this. I'm learning. And so these flashcards are absolutely a gift. But I like anything that brings our all of our senses in together, like seeing and reading. If you feel the emotions of a picture, but as you write your own and you write it down in your journal or you make your own pictures, you'll look at the shape and you'll look at the colors and you'll look at as it as a picture, and you'll look at the name and the meanings and the gematria, the numbers. And you might find out that the number of a letter also connects to music or other elements of sacred geometry that are hidden in plain sight in that letter. And this will begin to unlock your awareness and bring to your mind, your soul and spirit to a place where revelation lives, which is actually within you. All right, the third point is your breath is important. Breathe out the sound of the letter. I'm just going to suggest, I'm not going to open up the mics because it becomes a little bit chaotic. But when you, and this is why you're in a quiet place where you can speak out, where you're not going to disturb anybody as you're learning. You may want to chant a letter. That's okay, because sometimes when you say something over and over, it just starts to engage with you, or you engage with it, it engages with you. But when you speak out, you can these letters, don't just think about speaking them out, breathe them out. Like we'll just say yod. Take a breath in and breathe it out, going yod, yod. If you're musical, you might find a tone in the yod, yod, and you speak it out. And speaking it out as a word is good, but when you carry it on your breath, you actually emulate how Elohim released it. Now, it might come from a deep place of groaning within you or a mystical place of seeing. Creation has not ever ceased to expand. Our Creator is still creating. You may begin to feel or sense a divine alignment. We operate by faith, but our conscious feelings and emotions are very important. Remember, these letters contain realms, dimensions. They are otherworldly, a place that you can explore. Continue in the meditative state of stillness and regulated breathing. It's foundational of this and other processes that you will learn to engage your sanctified imagination. Visualize, what do you see? Imagine the activity of that the letter portrays. Review the meanings of the name. Look around you when you're in that time of visualization. You've got your eyes closed. And remember, when you're in the spirit, you can see 360 degrees. You don't have to just look at one thing. And when your imagination is sanctified, it starts to come alive. Imprint the letter on your subconscious mind. Practice drawing the letter in your mind or physically in your journal. Your sanctified imagination is your bridge between the physical and spiritual that allows an engagement of your own life in Yeshua. Keep a record, a journal of what Yahweh is showing you. No one knows you better or loves you more than him. Your Heavenly Father wants to see you to see into his heart and be totally joined together. Keeping a journal specifically for this time will also help you to build on the revelation as it comes. The object is not just to learn the letters, but to know them and be able to engage with them. Be mindful of the fact that these are alive, living letters. They're living beings, not static emblems on a page. Be creative in your journal. This is between you and Yeshua. And the final is to meditate on the sound, the shape, the meaning of the letter, and write down or draw the visions or pictures forming in your mind. I did this little book that goes with Jacob's Ladder for kids.
And how about the,
Sorry.
How-
And on it I write record, review, revisit. And that's why journaling is so brilliant. We record it, we review it, we revisit it. And revelation grows and grows and grows. Most of all, relax and enjoy the adventure. Because we're in a living relationship with Yahweh, your personal steps may take on another form. These 5 are just a guide. There's no fast rules, and the more simply we simplify and engage rather than to try and look at formulas, the greater the wonder of the process. And our goal is to intimacy, not to form and function. These five steps are a suggestion. There's just a way. I have a friend that I speak with regularly. She is the living letters are part of her meditation and have become part of her prayer time, because when she says, we'll just have a random visit on the phone, and she'll say, I was visiting with Hay today, and she starts describing the adventure, and I would ask her, well, what was the purpose? What did that mean? And she had taken that adventure, and it comes from knowing this living letter in the depths and in the dimensions. And what it turns out to be is God talking to her. He's having this encounter with her using the letters as an illustration. She's a visual learner. I think it's really cool. Yod He Vav He, because it's the breath of God that gives life. Let's take a breath before singing, chanting, speaking each letter. Let the sound, the frequency, the vibration, the color, the fragrance of our lives honor him. Let his breath come from within us to honor and bless him as we stand in his name. You see, this is the real standing in his name. Proverbs 18:10 says, the name of the Lord, which is Yod He, Vav He, is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and they are safe. This is what is meant by standing in his name. In the name, it saddens me to think that we carelessly use the name of God, Yahweh, Yeshua, Jesus. He's not a talisman, and if we speak out of tradition, it really makes the word of no effect. We're so good at praying and saying, well, in the name of Jesus, or, oh yeah, the blood just covers that. Oh, well. But when the Old Testament priests stood and they spoke out the blessings, their body sign was that of Shin, El Shaddai, in his name. They stood in his name. The name of God is in every cell of our bodies, and our body is encoded. We become the Shin as Jesus in sonship. It's not just in his name at the end of a prayer. He gave us authority. He said, greater things shall you do. We need to stand tall in who we are. We are a son, a daughter of the Most High. And when we are aware and understand that fact, when we breathe out, when we speak out, we do what he did at the beginning when he said, let there be light, light be. When we pray according to the word, we become the prayer. It's not just something we do, it's who we are, because in him we move, we live, we move, and have our being. All right, I'm coming back in here. So that's our introduction for the living letters, and I really hope that some of this has inspired you to get to know them a little bit better. I'm trying to make my, oh, there we go, speaker view, but it's not working here. Full screen. Okay.
We can see you fully.
You can see me fully? Okay.
Yep.
Well, there you go. All right. So these cards are the ones that I wanted to show you. Can you see them up tight?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. And then on the back, it has the write up of the of each letter. One time I took one a week and just spent that time in meditation and enjoying it. And this gal is an artist, and this is her rendition, and I would look at it and I could just find myself in the colors and that. And then as I breathed out the letters on my breath, I didn't just say Yod Hey Vav Hey, but I went Yod Hey Vav Hey. It became a love language. Is really what it became. It's really.
And who is this that does these cards?
Yeah.
Helen?
Yeah. Robin Main.
Oh, Robin Main. I know Robin. Okay.
Okay, good. Well, I don't know if she still has them. I hope she does. Yeah, they're very sweet. But there are others. And hey, maybe there's an artist out there that wants to do this. I
Nice.
welcome that. Yeah, Robin Main. Is that Sapphire Stone or Sapphire Ministry, Sapphire, the Throne?
Something like that. I can't remember
You know what?
the name of her.
Yes, it's Sapphire Stone Ministries.
Okay, thank you. Awesome. Yeah.
I have the whole series, yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
great.
I actually did the whole thing with Robin when we were ascending and in engaging with the letters, and she was drawing all of these live.
Was she?
Mm.
Oh
Yeah.
my golly. Yeah. No wonder
Yeah.
there's so much life to them.
Yeah.
Wow. That is great. So what's your takeaway, guys, from tonight?
It was deeper than several things that I didn't know about the Hebrew letters. So that was good. Thank you.
All right. Were they-
Helen,
Yeah.
this is one of the best teachings. I have gone through a lot of Hebrew, and I've been going through the letters with several different people, taking it into a different dimension and a different level. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm glad. I'm glad. Is this helping anyone or provoking you to get to know them more?
Yes. Yeah, I found it very inspiring to even think of where God can take you with, this, with these living letters. I never really saw it as a form of worship and a form of, intimacy to the same degree. So that was really neat. I like that.
Yeah.
Yes, it does provoke me more, Helen, because I read the Friends of Eber, and then I read it back again on certain letters, and there was a new revelation, and the Father was talking, and I just was surprised. Even in the Yod, we had a group together, and it was like amazing engagement.
Yeah. If we were together in the same room, that would be our activation now, is to breathe out these letters together. When that happens, I have been on calls where there's been a number of people, and they'll say unmute and we'll do this. But it just becomes chaotic, and it really doesn't bring the frequency, and frequency carries information, right? And so when there's that, Gina, what's the word when music doesn't sound good?
Dissonant.
That's it. Yeah.
Dissonant. Yeah.
And that's what happens with our tones. So I've decided not to do that tonight, but the next time we're all together, it is actually a beautiful sound that comes out of our beings when we breathe out the living letters, just in worship. Just it's just something happens that
Well, that's okay. We can practice by ourselves, and when we come together, we'll be really good at it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you're saying, Helen. I found that even with one other person, if we're saying Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey, and we hold each letter for a few moments, as long as our breath will go,
right.
we actually do sync.
Exactly.
We come into our sounds.
Yeah.
Whether one's up here, one's down here, we actually come into that harmonic resonance. It is amazing.
That's exactly, it's exactly the word, is a harmonic resonance. And it doesn't matter whether you can carry a note.
Absolutely.
It's all about your breath and the sound in unity. Yeah. Thanks.
I think it's interesting too, because when we breathe out a letter in some form of frequency, it is the frequency that we're vibrating in. So it doesn't need to be a particular sound or sound a beautiful tone or something like that. It's our frequency. It's our note. It's our sound.
Yeah.
And it goes beautifully together with others. Because we're one.
Exactly.
And it reminds me of that little experiment somebody did. I can't remember who it was, but anyway, he took a bunch of metronomes and put them up on a floating sort of shelf and started them all. And they all eventually synced together exactly because of the electromagnetic field and the resonance of that sound all working together. So that metronome, which isn't even sort of a living, breathing thing, sync together with the other metronomes, how much more would we?
Exactly, right? Exactly. And we are in that quantum entanglement to start with.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know who last week talked about, setting her heart on purpose to, to be light, that as she goes out, and then how people respond to her. I don't know if you're on the call tonight. But when
I
she
think that
shared,
was me.
was that you, Helen?
Yeah.
Yeah. I see. I just think that is such a key. It is such a key to live our lives on purpose like that, not to just sort of, rambling on from pillar to post, but setting our hearts in that place on purpose.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, I had to miss last week, and I'm hoping you recorded, but do you have them somewhere? Are they on your website, or how are you doing that?
We do have them recorded now. Thank you for asking. And what all you need to do is go on YouTube and put in the River 474, and
Okay,
and they all will be posted.
on your YouTube channel.
Yes, correct.
Okay, and I did find the flashcards on Robin's website. It's Sapphire Throne Ministries, and she does have the flashcards there for $25.
Okay, awesome.
But they're only available in the United States.
I think you
Oh.
can email her. I think you can email her if you want them sent outside the United States. She says on there, if it's outside, just send an email.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, yes, she sent it to me because I'm in Australia.
Oh,
And
nice.
this is a long time ago, and she was lovely. She did a very, very special package. She took a lot of care, and she did a little extra stuff when she sends it to you personally. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And it's for for me, it was a really good beginning. I think the next time that I have time to spend in the purposeful and intention again, that I think I would maybe try to make my own from what you don't have to be a good artist. You don't have to know anything. Just to put the shapes and the feelings of as you work with these letters yourself, right? And realize.
I don't know if you read the chat yet, but I did put in chat there. There's a lot on the Hebrew in Pinterest. If you go there, like I've got a huge amount of stuff from Pinterest on the Hebrew letters and their meanings. And yeah, there's a lot out there. So if you just go to Pinterest and put in Hebrew letters, they'll give you a whole slew of stuff.
And you know what? I'm really glad you brought that up. Thank you. There's two places that I find myself in sometimes. One is on an excessive track of learning without engaging. And it's good to gather the information. I have folders of information that I can go and review. They almost read like books. But I found that taking a little part at a time and actually engaging and meditating and quieting myself is where I learn more, I hear better, and I go farther. And then when more information comes, it's not just information anymore. It fits somewhere. It's part of a puzzle. It's that missing piece in the picture. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I really encourage you to start somewhere, start small. And the internet can be the king or the curse, it just, but just start. And when you do these kind of things, it's also a quieting to hear from the Lord. It's just, you set your hearts to a new place. It's almost a resetting to a new place.
I found too that when you do go and engage with some little tiny thing that has resonated with your heart, the revelatory understanding that you acquire on some kind of crazy non-mindful level, more like heart neurite level, is amazing because it doesn't leave you. You don't have to try to remember it. You've experienced it. You've been there. You've lived it. You have it. It's yours. It's in your heart. You keep it. And when you have that, you can use it in your life, because on earth, as it is in heaven.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you believe it better because it's done. You've had it already. It's yours.
Right.
So that's super powerful and really helpful. And if we pray in that vein and intend in that vein, you have it.
It's true, right? It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very good. Thanks, Gina. That's awesome. 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 Does anyone else have a takeaway or an encouragement for people? Has anyone been in this meditation with the living letters do you have an experience you can share? Okay.
Well,
Oh, I don't,
sorry, go ahead.
no, fine, go ahead.
Okay. What I do is with the Yod Hey Vav Hey, I actually do the directions, the 4 directions. But when I do the Yod Hey Shin Vav Hey, and I mean, everyone does it differently. Nancy does it differently. Dr. O does one, Ian does one, everyone does it differently. But when I went to the Lord, I asked him, what is it for me? And he told me to chant each letter. But when I chant it, I draw it out. I don't just say Yod, I go Yod. And then I just stand there, wait for it. And then when I turn and I do the hey, but when I do the shin, I stand in the middle, still in the fire. I stand in the fire.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's amazing that a portal opened up in front of me when I did that.
Wow. Did you walk through it?
Sorry?
Did you walk through it?
Sorry, you're breaking up.
Did you walk through the portal?
No, I was so overwhelmed when I saw that portal over there. I fell on the bed, and that was.
Well, I guess
Yeah.
my take, thank you for sharing that. My takeaway from that is to expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. I'm excited to engage more with the letters because they're actually living creatures that are real.
There you go.
In another dimension. And so when you say expect the unexpected, we're not used to doing that.
That's right.
We're used to just doing a thing and not expecting anything, because that's just how we've been that's the old wineskin teaching. But if it's real, then I actually do expect the unexpected, because I got the unexpected once and it totally freaked me out. And I thought, whoa, what? And the Lord said, well, here we are. I'm like, okay. And I had to realize that, oh my gosh, this is not a game or a thing or just a nothing. It's an actual real, more real than we are right now. So expecting the unexpected is just a sign, an activation of faith. And then the Lord can meet us. Holy Spirit can meet us.
Yeah.
And we can engage. So, I mean, I'm quite excited and quite expectant, and I'll get back to you on that.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we're on an inner journey, right? We've lived letting things just come at us long enough. And,
Yeah.
Jesus said the kingdom of God is within us. And I think it's time that we learn to release that kingdom for his glory, for his glory.
That's right.
And
Right.
yeah, I love what Yolanda said about, standing in the fire, because when you look at the diagram of the tribes of Israel, the fire was right in the center. That was the Holy of Holies, that holy place where the sacrifice was made. When you start putting things together, and all of us will do it differently.